around. Right? It is. He's part of Australia. I will move the mic.
Yeah.
Behind the lane.
All out makes a noise.
Jack does his game with the tickets, pre-sale. We're going to do that.
Is he going to be doing another game this year?
In September.
He's
He's been doing it in June, but we lost a lot of players because of they're all out of Vegas.
They do the splash box.
Right.
Whatever's in the balloon.
I want to do that gambit stuff.
I'm in.
You're in for gangbang?
13 and
What? Not even a question, right? I mean, step right into that table to show.
Oh,
is there a cap on the entry?
Falls usually 100.
Yeah, well,
We're not using dealers for the final table itself.
It's going to be your face.
100%
$200.
Yeah. And advance. Just wanting it to go in.
Bobby says it's good for the skin.
I'm like really crazy.
Whatever name, you get his character, Frank. They go up to the door. What's the password?
We won't have a bracelet. No, I'm going for it.
Hero people.
Are you running with masks?
It's like a parody of I
I don't know what it is, but
What do you think, Tony?
I hope I'm going to make it an annual.
It's not reading nothing.
It actually is reading on the other.
Did you give it a name?
Yes.
What is
Is it something under the thing?
No. Everybody has their phones off.
First annual acronym.
Everybody got their phones off?
Mine's on airplane. I can turn it off.
What about the annual?
My phone's off. People text me about Bobby.
Amateur poker.
Test 1 2.
Yeah, obviously.
Test.
It sucks for you.
Still didn't
Don't
work.
listen to it.
Still didn't work.
That's how good I am. They know what I have, and I know how to play it. So they change it.
There we go. C3, C10. I'm not 10, so
Do you everything
Oh,
10
we're
times, it'll work one of those.
you're good. Alright, guys, cards. Anybody got a tray next to him, Paul?
Here, take over here, table.
One right here.
What kind of trick, Doc? Nuts. Hard to count.
My free clubs makes me feel at home.
Or the lowest card?
Get a 9.
I got the lowest card.
No, I just.
Oh!
Slow roller.
Slow roller!
That's kind of tricky. Yeah, it's not yes.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm the deal.
With an 8?
With a 9, it's a point. How do you like it?
9 players, I picked the lowest card.
9 out of 9
Nine
players.
players.
Lowest
No,
card
no,
you got
no.
was a 9.
You want to know your problem?
What's the math on that card? That 9 players all picking a card.
I actually have good reason to be like.
No.
Because that's what
Let's
makes
see if
it.
it reads.
Is this a real hand?
Good, Bobby,
So you got
Corey,
aces,
Rob.
Paul.
You have to go
Everybody's
pick
good.
up this book called
I do 9 king.
I guarantee you got a good hand, Paul.
If
My right card.
attract
It's not real, so you got a good hand.
We're good, Tony.
Oh, I can show? Look at it.
nuts.
Fuck.
Nuts.
This
Fuck.
makes me feel right at
How does
home.
this make you feel? How does this make you feel?
Welcome, guys. Come on.
I got top 2.
Paul, Dan, we're good.
Top 2.
Audio
Mark
check.
Max's cards are enough.
Already running good in the preview.
Base win.
Gangbang style.
If it's on me, I'm not paying attention.
Stare at me all night.
That's when you're first.
I hope you're the last one to leave.
I think I'll be alright for
That'd be
alright.
Sorry!
You didn't hand it yet?
You look like one of those.
I built my thing up.
I start getting it.
Look at one of those dudes that
I've done like a lot of like
Yeah.
14, 15 hours.
You look like one of those dudes behind the airport.
Was this your longest one ever?
No.
Longest one ever.
Was your challenge, was that all one challenge?
Yeah, who is that? Oh, that's you. You clicked when you started.
You need on the back.
His name's a W.
They were saying something about him.
Yeah, you double tapped it and it said W and you tried to hit back and it just saved it.
George W?
And
I've done 36 hours straight. That's
4 at W.
Forehead and then putting seat positions here too, so that the viewers know exactly what seat are.
Oh.
I did
4
2 hours.
Hey, for it.
Can't you just append to 1?
We got some extensions so we can
One Mac.
IMAX Alliance.
Bob.
Okay.
3 is Corey.
I'm all right.
Well, you
Let's see if we can get Dan to go out first.
I'll fold everything in, not to go up there.
Yeah, right. So that's why I raised and you want to call me inside and try to talk her weight kicker all the way down until she got the fold over. Oh yeah.
You played similar.
Yes.
You want to tell me?
I'm gonna put my foot style in.
And what style is that this year?
That'll last
I don't think anybody knows.
Sorry, we're wearing the belt.
How can you lose? Get it in good and lose?
No, doesn't play hands and then decides to jump out there with like crazy hands and then plays them horrible because he doesn't ever play hands just like that.
When I doubled you up, I was leading pre-flop and
Yeah,
actually post-flop too.
yeah, I agree. Not on the turn though.
None of the turns
Yeah.
sort of took
It was
the lead.
embarrassing last night.
Isn't the turn the money maker? No limit hold.
Yeah.
And
Were you
everyone,
talking about last night?
everyone was leaving. I was playing like this.
Oh.
And
Not all like, not my life.
so like I'm going to leave my table. I'm sitting in the middle, third base, and there's 2 on the left, 2 on the right. And all these college basketball players come in, and I didn't know one of them. But their coach was there.
What was their problem for the
Mac, so
This will be the
I'm Akron from the Mac.
Well, Akron and
I didn't know any of them, but all I know is a bunch of people trying to take a picture, and they're like, no, don't take my picture. And I'm like, so they all sat down and they hung out with me.
Cool man, you get an autograph?
Yeah, I didn't know who they were.
Well,
But I
Zeke
asked.
Marshall, you would
It
recommend.
doesn't matter. You don't have to know. Hey, can I get your autograph?
I
That's
think
simple.
they didn't want to get anybody pictures.
Yeah, but you were sitting in shadow with
What?
you could have been cooler.
That's all right. I was at a
What's that, Mark?
poker tournament in Vegas when Dessert and Roy and Jake and I went out, and we were playing, or I played in this tournament. And the table next to us, this big dude. It's got this ginormous ring of diamonds and all this sort of shit. And that table got combined and he got moved to our table. I had no idea who he was. He had a Super Bowl ring on those. Clearly he was at least a former player. Not a clue who he was. Wasn't big enough to be like offensive or
That's
defensive
my
line.
second
So.
run. That's my second night playing blackjack with sports. Because I was there one night. And Hanford Dixon.
Eric Metcalf.
And I'm sitting there playing blackjack with Hanford Dixon, and then all of a sudden some other kid, like, and I thought that's who he was.
Moral
Yeah,
support.
he's got a good. I'm like, dude,
Audio
I
check.
feel like Hanford Dixon. Oh, dear God, who I am. And I'm like,
Do you guys hear me in the studio okay?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
20 minutes later,
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
So he sat down.
I'm going to come in and turn down the table a little bit and then get this thing started.
I would have cried.
I recognize you from Taste of Bracelet.
I recognize you.
I serve on a law enforcement committee with Reggie Rucker, and we got invited to a luncheon they were having for a fundraiser and to present some awards because they got like a $500,000 grant.
Wait, doesn't he have his identity protected and he just announced it?
No. So we go to this thing, and it's at Cleveland Brown Stadium. Joe Banner's there, Jimmy Haslam, his wife, a bunch of current and former Browns. I'm like, and I'm supposed to be working in here. I'm just like, I can't ask for autographs, what am I gonna have him sign my dress shirt, my tie? What
No, have him sign all the Facebook posts that you said about the Browns.
But you know what? None of them were involved.
Oh, right. Yeah, I thought the coolest thing I saw on TV was there was some really bad
Hey, I can't
call
hear you. It's too loud.
by our coach when Haslam he was he showed him in the
He punted it. He punted for it on 4th and inches with the game on the line.
Yeah.
And we lost the game because
that was
that was.
I'm like
He's like,
that's when I knew that he's going to be a great owner.
Well, he doesn't have much to live up to. I mean, I was as involved as the ownership, the learner ownership. He was fucking. Wow. As soon as you know somebody's like buying a soccer team.
Okay, I got it.
Right, because his dad was. We're gonna want to sell the team that somebody.
Well, maybe.
No.
He might have been talking. He might have been talking. I have them for 2 years.
Oh yeah.
It could have been too long because he hasn't only bought into the Steelers. Get it every year.
Are you going back to the shoe after this?
Hell no. I thought about it.
You thought about it, though.
I did. I might as well go. I mean, what am I going to go sleep now?
Yeah, right.
I'm losing. I'm going to play. Sunday night. Well, no, the only reason I wouldn't want to is because
They'll all be
when I was
wasted there.
I was so mad that I had to leave at that point. It was literally like green hair and everything was like,
I'm gonna bet all my green chips.
they're so bad.
That's
It's like,
awesome.
Yeah. You can like,
That's what we should do tonight.
so
We should
much,
just play
like,
with
you
all
just, like,
greens.
all
right, 60 seconds.
I like you. And they're like, what's wrong? I'm trying to like you. And it's like, I'm all in. It's like,
Go to in to put money.
drunk ass. And they're like, come on, bro. I got pocket shoes. Like, I got pocket. They don't really talk like that. That's the best impression I can give you ever. No, there's so many of us. It's like guys getting their girlfriend next to the table and we're shooting them.
Just the one you played.
That's the
You guys ready over here?
We ready.
Excellent. All right, welcome everybody to game number 6 of Chase a Bracelet Season 4. We'll be getting underway here shortly. We have a new commentator for tonight is Rudy, who will be commentating for Chris Ward, and Paul Boston's in the studio. And tonight's game is also dealt by Train. Thank you very much, Train. We have all 9 players. We have no substitutes. And we'll get it underway. Blinds are 25-50. We'll get that started. Each player starts with 6,000 in chips, and we are in game number 6 out of 12 of season number 4.
Welcome, everybody. We'll give you a quick rundown on the standings. We got Bobby and Mark tied for first, Suited Dan in third, Rob in fourth, Ed in fifth, Max in sixth, Corey in seventh,
Bobby calls 150.
Marco in eighth, and Paul Moskowitz bringing up the rear in ninth.
Too early to point out that.
No, actually it was Max that called 150. Bobby does call 150.
Oh, it matches the shirt, though.
Yeah, we'll probably.
Corey raises to 575.
I don't know how much action we'll get. Because Corey usually plays really tight early.
I see, you know, I can still see the jelly.
Yeah, Bobby pulls his nines.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's why Corey usually plays so tight.
The first hand, the first final you're squeezing out of position. I'm pretty
It's
sure.
hard for him to get any action when he gets a real big
Or
one.
close.
Button moves over to Corey, and that means Paul Moskowitz to act first.
I'm glad I didn't do what I was going to do the first day.
And Rudy, you might want to get a little closer to your mic.
Okay.
Cool.
We just told him.
Yeah, much.
I was probably going to flop a 7 for the red one today. Just so I can tilt later when I watch the video.
Well, we should get a little action here. Suited Dan with an ace queen, Corey with a ace jack suited.
Yeah, I don't think Dan would be afraid to call.
No.
Not with that hand.
Bobby raises to 125.
Bobby raises a button with 4-5 suited.
Corey calls 125.
Corey's on the button.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Call.
Suited Dan calls 125. 3 players.
Dan just calls with ace queen out of the big blind.
Dan, you first.
And Bobby flops 2 pair.
Bob.
Bobby bets 250. Bobby is also B million on your screen.
It'll probably
Corey
take it
folds.
down.
Suited and folds.
Another pair of nine.
What's that?
Another not set pair of nine.
No. I didn't have a pair yet, but yeah, that's it.
Dang it. That was just a mouth. Should I swatch on the cards as they're coming?
Robert to act first.
Paul Moskowitz with aces. B million with sevens.
Call 50.
Got a couple of suited
Marco
one gappers
calls
in
50.
here too.
Bobby raises to 150. Ed calls 150.
Paul needs to make a pretty good raise here to chase some of these hands out.
Paul calls 150. Marco calls 150.
Yeah. That's just, you don't want to play aces four-handed. You're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for Ed to get away from this hand at this point.
Yeah, top pair and a flush draw. He might even get Marco
Paul bets 250.
with a gut shot. No, Marco folded his gut shot. He'll call in quite often.
Action on Bobby. Calls 250.
Bobby calls with the sevens. I think we'll see Ed raise here.
Ed raises to 700.
This is a problem with slow playing aces with that many players. You just never know where you're at.
Paul Moskowitz calls. Bobby lets it go.
Heads up. 1,000.
Moskowitz bets 1,000. Ed calls.
And Paul's going to win a good sized pot here.
Moskowitz bets 1,000.
I don't see him calling here, do you?
He very well could. I wouldn't against Paul with just a 10 kicker with my queen, but he probably will.
Ed calls 1,000.
Yeah, he called. I thought he might.
Moskowitz shows pocket aces.
Wow, that's very dangerous. He wanted to hit two crazy sets.
I'll tell you what, if Ed could have hit the 10 there, he could have busted Paul. Paul would have never folded aces on that.
No, it's a self-trap. That is a good word.
Call your small.
Self-trap. John, I wish I was stuck out.
Yeah, there was pair of fives.
Why can't I just use it like...
Yeah, if that river, I'm saying, if that river would have been a 10, Paul never would have been able to get away from aces.
Mark first to act, who folds.
Not too much going on here.
Bobby bets 125.
B million with a 6-4 of hearts. Paul Moskowitz got a king jack.
Ed calls 125.
Ed calls with ace rag.
Those are hard hands to play, the ace.
Did everybody's? I don't think everybody's hands folded.
I agree 100% with that.
Four-handed, we're good.
Oh,
Bobby
okay.
flops a flush draw and a straight draw.
Bob checks you.
Ed flops second pair.
300 is that.
Bobby bets 300. Lines are still 25.50 and 10 minutes 56 seconds left in the lines.
Heads up.
Ed's got the pair and he's still a 40% underdog. And now Bobby hits the flush. Let's see how Bobby bets this.
Bobby bets 600.
Not a big bet.
It's just enough to keep him in, probably,
Mm,
after the last hand.
I think he might let this go now with 2 overs and the flush out there.
He's not sure if he believes him.
No, I don't think he is. But yeah,
Head folds.
I didn't think he could call that again. That's the problem with that ace rag. If you hit the bottom pair, you never know if you're good if you're calling raises. And then if you're calling raises and still hit the ace, you still don't know.
Yeah, I think you saw your hand was falling.
Even the dog's like, I would have called.
A little easier to suit, but you hear that all the
Yeah,
time.
right. I don't mind raising with them occasionally, but
8-track?
calling raises with it, I hate.
First act is Marco.
Oh.
And Max with an ace-5 suited. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see how he played it.
he folded. Paul Moskowitz with the ace-7.
200 to play now.
See, that's what I mean.
That'll be
That's, yeah, I don't. Yeah, they'll take it down, but that's where I don't mind playing it. When you got position, everybody's folding.
I'd like to bet. Well, if you're going to call for it, if I'm the best hand.
In the starting stacks? Or
6,000 is the starting stack. Yeah. Not a whole lot going on here. Might go around to Paul again with the ace. Ace-8 this time.
Calls 50. Calls
Suited Dan calls 50.
Ace raises this
Moskowitz
time.
calls 50.
Suited Dan getting tired of
Robert.
playing.
Calls 50.
4-way.
Marco checked his option.
Robert's in this hand?
No, I folded.
Okay.
Oh.
Mark flops
I guess
top
it was
pair
Mark.
here.
I believe Mark's hand has been folded. Maybe not. No.
No, Mark's in.
Seed 8. 125 bet by Mark.
And,
Suited Dan calls.
suited Dan calls with Jack 9.
And that card might slow down Mark just enough.
Oh yeah,
He'll get an extra card
Well,
out
once
of it.
I
Mark
think
checks.
once he got called there, he's going to slow down.
8 of clubs on the
Just
river.
check call here. Dan's going to try and bluff here.
600 bet by Suited Dan.
I think if he had the bigger 10 or the king, he would have bet the turn. See what Mark does here. And it looks like he's going to fold. Maybe not. The way the hand played out, I think he should call here. Because he didn't bet the... No, he folds the winner.
And I believe he showed.
Mark folds up.
Yeah. If Dan had the king or the 10, bigger 10 or the king, he would have bet the winner. And it was pretty obvious the way it played out.
And it's hard to call those middle cards.
Oh, yeah.
First act will be Bobby.
I mean, I would have check folded the turn if he bet the turn. But once he checked the turn, I'm thinking I'm usually good there. See, we got Rob with ace king. Let's see how much he raises. He likes to raise, over raise sometimes.
2.25.
Raised to 225 by Robert.
A little big. Line started at 25.50. He'll probably get no action.
Max in the big blind lets it go. First act will be Corey.
Thanks, Randy Jackson.
They call you now B Million. That's what I heard.
Suited Dan calls 50. Robert calls 50.
Which one, Bob?
Let's see what Max does here with his ace 10. See if he just calls or he raises.
Max calls 50. B-Million checks his option.
Nobody flops anything. Let's see who wants to take this down.
That's where that ace 3 is.
Checks
Yeah.
around.
What can you do there?
And B-Million and Rob get jacked.
Bobby bets 100. Suited Dan folds. Robert calls 100. Max folds.
Rob's got the best hand. Let's see if Bobby just checks here. He just got the jack kicker. I mean, the eight kicker.
Bobby bets 150.
No, makes a small bet. He'll get called.
Robert calls.
So,
It's good to use those hands to try something to see the hold times when you get called.
Ed Dak first.
You don't have to.
No,
You know that as you want to sleep on.
you don't have to. You can throw them away. That's the standard procedure in most tournaments now. The reason being is you're giving too much information to all the other people.
Suited Dan calls 50.
I mean, you
Mark
can
raises
make
to 175.
the person's first to act, you can make them show. They can't just say.
Oh, Bobby.
Your hand out of
Bobby's
the
hand
turn and they
flipped
just
up.
mock.
Keep it up, Bob.
Yeah, then it's mocked and they can't make the show.
Know what you are.
Heads up.
Suited Dan calls the 175.
Mark's got a little pair. He's hoping to hit on the flop.
Suited Dan calls out of position with 9-10 suited.
Suited Dan checks.
I mean offsuit.
Mark bets 200.
Yeah, you can always count on Mark to continuation bet if he checks two. He's got any pair at all or any draw. He's going to bet.
First act will be Suited Dan.
Oh, you're starting?
2
It's
minutes.
been pretty quiet.
I think he's sober.
2 minutes, 20 seconds left in the blinds.
I could be wrong, but he's one of the few people that have not been in here.
And it's very surprising.
Paul
Every
calls
week-
50.
Probably
Every
won't
week
get
thus
this
far, he's been in every hand possible early. He doesn't. Him and Rob usually don't sit around very long. They want to get the action going.
Bobby raises to 150.
Bobby raises with his sevens. Ed has ace 8.
Ed calls 150.
Paul has jack 8. of
Paul
diamonds.
calls also.
Ed?
Bobby's got
All players check.
little surprise there.
Action on Moskowitz.
The worst hand just stopped that.
Bets 225. 1 minute left in the blinds.
So they did.
Bobby calls 225. Ed folds.
Little surprised Ed folded there. He had a double belly buster. I think he was getting the right place to call there. Then Bobby fold here if Paul makes another bet.
Paul bets 325.
Unless he tries to take it away from me. I don't think he'll ever just call here.
Bobby folds.
Paul will never bluff twice. Very seldom bluff once.
Blinds are up.
You're what?
They were already posted, so this hand will be 25.50.
Next hand they're going. Try to play like sitting go game cash the same way online. It's difficult. Yes. Could not do it. Like I start looking in the suited aces and sit go.
It's been a little quiet so far. Maybe we'll get a couple hands together against each other here soon.
Next hand we are at 5,100 here.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on here. Max with a 5-6 suited. Ed with a 10-9 suited.
Mark calls 50.
Mark with 8-9 offsuit.
Max calls 50. Ed calls 50. Suited Dan checks his option.
Suited Dan with the 8-5 of diamonds here.
Check start. Check. Check.
Max flops the 6 with 2 kings there.
Checks
Checks
around.
it.
Max bets 125. I'm sorry, Mark bets 125.
You checked a Mark twice. He's going to bet.
Max calls. King on the river.
Yeah, I think if Mark bets here again, he will be called.
Oh, I absolutely think he will. I don't think Mark will. Mark was just trying to steal the pot since nobody seemed to want it.
Max bets 500.
Mark giving a little Hollywood there. He usually doesn't do that.
And he knows his hand's so good.
Yeah.
And Mark folded.
No, he was just trying to steal it. Didn't seem like anybody wanted it. He was trying to take it down.
Really hand I seen somebody check things out.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's the worst play in the poker.
When there's 4 hands.
Yeah, you're just giving away too much value if you flop something.
If I'd had that boat, I'd probably.
Yeah.
You've lost your opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
There's way too many people behind you.
Right.
First act will be Robert.
It's
Some
become
people-
popular just because they've seen people do it on TV is the main thing.
There goes Mark with an ace king.
And suited Dan with pocket 4s. So he likes to call raises, so I'm pretty sure. We'll see
Mark
that.
raises to 300.
There is a 4 out there that Dan will not be drawn to.
Suited Dan calls.
Yeah, I figured suited Dan would make that call. And Mark flops 2 pair. Dan's got 1 out.
Suited checks.
Showing 2, but there was a 4 folded. Yeah, suited Dan going to try and take it down here.
Suited bet 600.
Let's see if Mark just calls.
River
Oh,
Queen of
that's a
Clubs.
scary card.
1,200.
Suited Dan bets 1200.
I think Mark will make this call, but that's a scary card. I just don't see how he can lay top 2 down.
He is going to agonize over it for a
Oh
little bit.
yeah, it's a tough call with that board, but I just don't know how he can fold it.
Normally I would raise top 2 pair.
Yeah.
There.
Mark calls 1200 and takes it down.
Mark makes what's called a crying call. You really don't want to do it, but you just have to.
I think you can ask him. I'm not asking him on the show.
And he's explaining that right now.
Yeah.
Technically, anyone at the table can ask him, but they're all in the hands of
Honestly,
I'm not asking.
Yeah, they're talking about him showing his cards. They want to see. And Rudy and I were talking earlier. And most of the big tournaments now, they don't have to show their card there. Once the other player has showed theirs and they muck, they don't make them show anymore. Because it gives too much information to the people that didn't pay to get any information.
Mark Cutiffello, under the
I was
gun.
already turned to set.
You could always grade it. You could always grade
Now,
it.
if Mark just sat there and waited.
Waited. He could have made Dan show, right. Instead of saying what he had and showing what he had, he could have made him.
Now Mark has the force.
Mark calls 100.
And Corey with ace queen. And which is what I do a lot of times because I want to see what they're betting into me with. If I'm paying, I want to see.
Corey raises to 350.
I think there's a little etiquette problem.
What did he bump?
Right.
350.
The guy decided he was going to give it up. You really want to make him.
Right. You don't want to show him that, you know, you can know he's not going to make him show everybody.
You already have the information.
Right.
Mark calls. Actually, on Mark first.
Check.
Mark checks.
Mark with the best hand here. Hard to call a bet here, though.
Bet 600 by Corey.
I was going to say, by that check,
Yeah.
he gave up the hand pretty much.
It's hard to call a bet.
It's 4 or 3
Yeah.
overs.
When you call with them little pairs out of position, if you don't spike a set,
Mark Odak first.
real hard to call a bet.
That's what I assumed you
At least he got up to it.
That's what I assumed.
Because I'd say 90% of the time you're going to have 3 overs out on the board.
No, oh. Yeah, that gets started. Alright. Up to me? Yes, sir.
Let's see what I can see.
Get in with a jack 10 suited.
Man, so close.
Marco's first act, and he gets out of the way right away.
Marco's not playing anything
No,
tonight.
he is not.
No thinking, just like Bob.
Must be trying to move up a place or two.
The player who
Ed raises to 250.
called the bet.
You will see him get involved, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That person will say, I'd like to see his cards.
If you really wanted to see his hand, you would have waited for him to
His
roll it
jack 10
over.
suited, so take it
But he
down.
called him,
No, it's a
so.
bet. It's a call bet, which means
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if two
It
players
takes it
roll
down
in,
as soon
uncontested.
as the other man rolls over his cards, he no longer has to do anything.
because he has the best hand.
Because he has the bet.
Unless he,
However, the man who has the other
Yeah.
hand can say, I want to see your cards.
which is bad etiquette, by the way.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about you.
I did
It has nothing to
that.
do with it.
No,
That's
that's
what I'm
why I
saying.
put
It's
something
bad.
on tilt.
No,
Not
seriously.
here.
Yeah, that's
Now
just
you just click for future
reference.
Yeah, you click the
top
top.
left corner.
Okay.
Marker show.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying that.
Well, if I really want to see somebody's hand, I just like, I wanted to see his hand, I would just wait for him to roll out.
Right.
Because you,
That's what
you
Paul's
called
talking
him.
about.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. For years.
You hear the players and the dealer talking about what we were just talking about.
Yeah, you called his bet, you can use the mic. What you got?
Clap.
B million with an ace 8, he folds it.
If it's no, it's a
Ed
shut
with a
out,
queen
or it's
10,
all
suited Dan with a queen 10.
So now they're automatically over.
Yeah.
So what's the difference there?
I'm saying, because if
Calls,
somebody's like,
yeah,
if somebody's like, I'm all in, and this means like I call.
Suited calls 100.
Call, hold their hand. 350 this, I mean.
Raise to 350?
Moskowitz raises, or I'm sorry, Newman raises to 350.
Yeah, Rob raises with 4-9.
And if the dealer grabs it, then the dealer grabs it.
I think you'll see suited Dan call, yeah.
Suited calls.
He knows Rob raises a lot of garbage hands.
You see your hand when you fold, dude.
When he gets positioned,
They
he's
pop up when you fold.
and suited Dan flops it. Top pair.
I'm folding all in here, so.
Suited bets 700. Robert calls. 7 of spades hits the turn.
You've seen that one, where they grab the cash game and trying to decide if you should call.
tried to take it away on the turn with the 4-9.
Oh, you're talking about Daniel Gardner?
Yeah, 96 dude.
But I don't think it showed both. I think
No, it showed only one.
And it was like a 6-1.
Yeah, open-ended, I think, right?
That's because it's, yeah, when it revealed the open straight.
Bobby under the gun.
Yeah, why don't you guys do that?
Bob, stay out of everybody else.
Chillax.
Grown man. All around.
You know it's my birthday.
Not too much going on here. I think any raise, anybody shows any aggression, they should be able to take it down. Suited Dan with the best hand with King 10. He usually doesn't like to raise his hands. He usually just limps.
I think that's the only house rule.
410s are gone.
Suited Dan calls 100.
Suited Dan likes to limp. Limp call a lot.
No one wants to sell it. Unless Tony buys the smell pack.
Max and Suited Dan, these two have
Max
a
checks his option.
They love the
Walking down the aisle, you want her to be remembered. Hey, isn't your dad the one that farted on camera on the internet years ago?
It went viral the next day.
That thing on the internet.
Just to say the King 10.
There's worse.
Both players check again.
It's charcoal. No, there's charcoal underneath.
And Suited Dan will take it down with this King High.
King high.
Suited takes it down.
Why am I getting money? Thanks for this.
I did.
He missed it out. On the block. I think Dan may have given that up.
Hard telling with Dan sometimes, though.
Hey, no.
He'll call with some stuff you wouldn't normally think anybody could call.
Action on Corey.
Wow, little fans. Something starts cha-cha over there. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Mark with an ace 10 suited. Max with ace deuce suited. Suited Dan with 7 8 9. 3 million with pocket threes.
And Marco still getting the same hands he's been getting all
Yeah,
night.
I think Bobby's
Suited Dan
hit
raises
big
to 250.
blind, so I don't know if he'll raise. I think he'll just call.
Mark calls 250.
Suited raising to 8-7 suited.
Bobby calls.
I thought Bobby would call there.
First act will be a Bobby.
And Mark flops a 10 or ace.
Check down.
Oh,
Bobby
Bobby
gets
flops the
tripped.
set.
Mark bets 400.
And I don't think he's going to raise here. I think he's just going to call.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll just call.
Bobby calls 400. Suited Dan folds.
10 here would just be brutal. I think Mark might check here. With just the 10 kicker, I don't think he's going to get too out of line. He's reaching for chips.
Mark bets 600.
And at this point, he is drawing dead.
Yeah. I think this is where we'll see Bobby raise.
If Bobby knew he was drawn dead, he wouldn't be raising.
Raise to 15.
Bobby raises to 1500 from the 600 bet that Mark made.
Well, he wants to raise here. He doesn't want to try a check raise on the river because if Mark checks behind, then he doesn't. Either check raise here or lead out on the river. I think Mark's got to let this go. I think he'll piece it together. He's been really good at this year, being able to get away from hands. The check call and check raise is just.
He does have the ace.
Yeah.
Mark
He's
calls.
going to be a little stubborn tonight.
2 of diamonds on the river.
He's just not giving Bobby credit for the hand. And with Bobby's reputation, that's going to happen a lot.
15 call.
Bet 1500 by Bobby on a call by Mark.
No. Yeah.
3 score.
Yeah, that check call and check raise is just screaming strength.
You want to see a sign?
No.
I think the hand earlier was like called Brian calling.
Humiliated for
That may have
You
been
already
something.
played the hand like shit, now you want him to show it.
And that's what I had a whole
Played over it a little bit, I think.
Ed Wiggler to act first.
Why are you coming at me, man?
Yeah, why
Kind of the same thing. Especially when the two hit.
you want to the comments.
Right.
Whoa. What happened? I missed it.
That will fulfill my just a Beaver fantasy right there, though.
Trying to make little beaver fat babies.
Suited Dan calls.
Suited Dan calling in mid position, mid to early with 9-10 off.
And with nothing else out there, he just may
Well,
get
if he
rewarded.
would have raised, he might get it, yeah. But
If he hits this flop.
well, if he hits it, he probably ain't gonna get too much action.
This is up.
Bobby folds and Corey checks his option.
If I was suited Dan here, I'd bet no matter what I had. Yeah.
Both players check.
Yeah, he's just giving Corey an opening. That's all.
Corey bets 150.
Corey is smart enough to take it. So.
No, absolutely.
Suited folds.
Raise your show.
Oh, jeez. No, please.
And there's Dan Bacon. See the cards.
He knew he didn't have the best hand.
Why didn't you show?
I'm done with I'm through that game every time.
Suited Dan to act first.
So I'm just letting you guys know. If you want to get involved with that mess, go ahead. But I'm through that game every time.
I want to. Will you 3-bet my blind?
I'm gonna 3-bet everything. Anything. How am I gonna 3-bet your blind? Doesn't even make sense. God, man.
You have to let.
I learned it.
1 minute warning left in the blinds.
Max with an ace-9 suited. I think we'll see him get involved here.
Max calls 100.
I think that's pricing Corey in the call now with the 8-9 of clubs.
Corey calls. Ed checks his option.
I was going to say a couple of clubs here could get very interesting, and we got a couple of clubs. Corey's got a flush draw. Ed's got a bigger flush draw.
Corey bets 225.
It's not that big of a bet, I believe.
Oh, yeah, I think he got called with a good sized bet by Ed.
Ed calls. Max folds.
So that's a hand if Max would have raised in late position with the suited ace, he would have won it.
Oh, I walk in there and beat the shit out of
And Corey's got a straight draw also.
the Rust Club.
The Rust Club.
I'll get you in there. Cheap drinks and cheese and crap.
Corey checks. Ed checks.
Sour drink.
There was like a week or so ago they had like
Let's see if anybody wants to bet here.
Like real food
filet
sandwiches.
filet mignon sandwich.
If Corey would bet here, he would take it down.
Ribs.
But I don't think he can bet.
I didn't go in. Bring that down.
Yes, Corey checked.
At this particular point in time,
There's
if
really
he bets, the only thing that's going to call him is a winning hand.
Right.
So there's no reason really to bet.
Right.
You might as well just go ahead and roll it over and give it a
Ed checks.
Ed checks and thinks he's losing and wins.
Oh, well, let me show you.
Yeah.
There you
And
go.
he didn't realize it till the last second that he actually won the hand.
Hey, slow on.
That was a good check.
Oh, yeah.
You can bet into there and you have somebody check race you and then
You just want to bet.
First time.
Good job, Ed. See, that's what you do. Good job, Ed. Make him roll his hand over. Yeah, that's good. Small, Ed. So it's still 75. Oh, 75, 150. I'm sorry. We're like 2 minutes into this.
Ooh, we're going to get a hand brewing here. Marco hasn't played all night. He's got ace jack. Moskowitz with queens. Rob with set or eights.
Moskowitz bets 450.
Queens.
Calls 450.
Robert calls 450. Marco folds.
Wow.
Bye-bye. 450.
Marco playing a totally different game tonight. I've seen him re-raise there. This flop comes like 7 high. Paul can win a big pot here.
If it's an ace on the flop, that'll be the last ace mark.
Heads up action between Paul Moskowitz and Robert Newman.
A queen and an 8 on this flop would be kind of fun. King might slow Paul down a little bit. No, it doesn't.
Paul bet 600. Robert calls.
And now an ace.
Moskowitz checks.
Robert
bets 1100.
Paul will probably fold, yeah. Rob can do that all night to Paul.
He decided to show.
No.
He's got Paul.
Yeah.
What was that flop?
I would have called. There are very few players I would call there, but Rob's one.
You had queens, and there was a king and an ace on the ball.
Just because he's so loose.
150. 12.
He's always trying to make a move on somebody.
And Marco's over there kicking himself.
Oh, yeah.
I should raise the pocket fours.
You can see that under the table?
Corey with ace jack. Rob with ace 10.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Moskowitz with 9-5 suited.
$550.
Corey bets 550. Robert calls.
Oh, if an ace comes here, that's
Robert checks. Corey checks.
I think Rob might call here.
Corey bets 800.
Rob likes to call him. He's got shot draws. He loves to chase.
Robert calls.
And that card's going to cost him a little more money.
Most likely.
Both players check.
Yep, Corey check.
She must have been afraid of the queen.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. You pretty much got to check there once you're calling that card hits.
First act will be Mark Cuterfello.
Yeah, but you don't need 2 of them there.
Rub it in.
Surgeons with all this legal.
Max with an ace jack. Not a whole lot else going on.
Quarter.
That should take it down.
Max raises to 325. Paul folds, Robert calls.
Rob calls with 7-3 offsuit.
Draws.
Yeah, I checked the flop and then bet the flying.
Max Max is reaching for chips. Robert folded.
I cannot on my life figure out why anybody would call for 7-3. I know you like to defend your blood, but there's some hands you just let it go.
That's probably one of the hardest things.
What, let it go?
To let your blinds go by.
Oh.
I don't think it's a card on the
See, if I got a hand like that, it doesn't bother me one bit to let him go.
I called there because I felt guilty about taking some of Paul's chips. Thought I'd give them away.
Again, we really don't have a whole lot going on here.
Just, we might see Bobby raise here with King 10. Nope. He was too far out of position, I think. Should get down to blind versus blind here.
I guess there are two worse jacks, but we could all
Rob Fowler.
Oh, yeah. He seems to be in a hurry tonight.
I remember that flop. I was just thinking because they were heads up.
I think we'll see
I'm like, oh, that.
Both players check.
Nice check.
It doesn't matter. It's on that after.
If Rob bets here, Mark should have known that Rob would have raised his with an ace.
Robert bets 400.
If he's been paying any attention to Rob this year,
425.
he never would have just called an ace there.
Mark folds.
I don't think he's thinking too well there.
It's probably been stuck under here for like 2 weeks.
It have a name by now.
He just decided it wasn't worth taking that on.
Rob just bluffs way too much. Sometimes you got to have the big hand.
In the back of his mind, he knows.
Yeah.
There might be something going on here.
Max stack first.
Just because he bluffs so much, I would look him up 95% of the time.
150 call, guys.
Bobby raises to 300.
Bobby with ace queen.
Suited Dan calls.
He has not been involved in a hand here lately. So.
Yeah, well, he loves to play hands with Bobby, and he falls in love with ace.
Oh, wait,
Ace nines.
I wish this was the other way around.
Marco calls.
Marco calls. Dan calls.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen every flop.
Marco to act first. Marco checks.
3 million with second pair and a nut flush draw.
And Marco was second pair
And a lower flush draw. This could get Marco in trouble.
Bobby bets 500. Suited Dan folds. Marco folds. Bobby takes it down.
Marco snugging it up tonight.
What happened?
I thought you looked like you're on one. You pulled it back.
This is Marco.
I should have went like this.
I should have flinched and let you mug your hand. Yeah,
I'm going all in. Exactly. If it's just any forward motion, that means you grab it.
I kind of did.
Grab it.
I went like this. You grabbed one. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
I grabbed it back.
I take full credit. Trust me.
No, I just went with kings. Ed with deuces.
I'm sure someone over there.
He's out.
Remember one time I was like, "That's not the chair," because I was so mad. Remember?
Imagine playing basketball.
Because we were all like, "Oh, that's the chair." One time I did right over and Rick went like, "That 150 play it."
I got an idea. Why don't we get a bunch of guys together?
Ed's not going to raise deuces.
And then put them in a room together.
Next week's tacos.
Ed raises to 300.
Bean burrito.
Ed, you ready?
Yes, 300.
Whoever did that one got me in the mouth with it.
Chase the
That's the first time.
Moskowitz raises to 800.
And yes.
My hand.
So I'm talking about programming, but we raised to 8.
Neither was I.
What are you doing?
There's an action.
Dan
This
taking
is a
his
spot
mouth?
where you
That's
just
an action. That's the type of action I'm talking about.
That is some action.
Why are you so quick to pull the trigger on this thing?
Out there.
I thought we were boys.
Where's my big boy? Taking his
you're
mouth.
calling, and your only chance of winning is spiking 2 out.
At Dan's house, it's called an action flop.
Ed folds.
That's where Paul's reputation is.
Oh, yeah.
Corey to act
He
first.
really wants a call there. And his reputation actually hurt him.
He just raised with such a deuces is such a weak hand. I mean, it is a pair, but it's in that position. I'm not crazy about the raise, early position raise with deuces. B million with ace queen.
Seriously, I will tell you when
Corey let a king queen go.
It wasn't me, Max, or Marco.
He will not play that hand out of position.
You took it all in your mouth, Dan.
He'll play it in position. If it's folded around to him, he'll raise it up. But in early position, he didn't even think about it.
Folds over to Max.
See, Max might give a walk here. No?
Max calls 150.
See how much Bobby raises it up.
You ran to the door and greeted me.
400 on top by Bobby. Max folds.
Paul's here. Him and. Good to see you, Paul.
Action on Ed Wergler to act first.
Mark with ace queen, Bobby with ace jack, Corey with deuces. I think when Mark raises here, Corey will fold. Bobby may even re-raise with ace jack, but I doubt it out of position.
4 straight.
Mark raises to 400.
Thanks, Marco.
I was protecting my.
Penny. Much.
Nice fold by Bobby.
4 straight.
Folds over to Corey in the big blind.
Looks like Corey might be calling. No? Yeah, I didn't think he'd call.
Corey folds.
You were in the blind.
What?
You were in the blind, right?
What?
Huh?
I don't know about that. Let's go back in the future.
Let's go back to the
Let's go back in the future.
Back to the future.
Calm down, Marco.
Okay.
McFly.
Has he got the shoes on?
Why does that matter if I was in the blind?
Got the car.
Suited Dan with pocket tens. Corey with ace 10 and not a whole lot else going
4
on.
now.
I didn't hit it after I got the call. You probably won't fold it.
Probably.
I folded.
Marco with 3-5 suited.
Did Dan raise to 400?
Yes, sir.
Dan raised to 400.
I was never calling. I was even raise it. And I didn't raise because then if he was raising the first stack, I was then I'm taking my jump to, which he probably would have because we would have. Doesn't matter. Look at one take.
Corey, the only one with it option calling.
Dude, we haven't said something in like 8 minutes. You just.
I know. I was just gonna say. Has anybody else noticed? Like this conversation started practically yesterday.
I know. It's so bad. We think for life, dude. Exactly.
I'm like, wow.
I'm just letting them go. It's like a bobblehead. Like, oh, I'm like, you're on the genius.
Usually.
Oh, watch the table. Watch the fucking table. Watch the table.
Moskowitz to act first.
Oh,
Thank you.
what about Marco?
Even sober, I still a little human.
Yeah, I think there was only one.
Oh,
that he would have won that he folded. So, yeah, when it,
What did you say about me that you said?
We're gonna make it something about you soon. Make up something
that
about
right,
Bobby.
not too much going on here. Everybody raises it up.
What? See? Wow. He's getting all excited about guys pounding each other down here, and all of a sudden you're asking him for his sling.
So around to Bobby, he might try and steal here.
He's thinking about it.
Bobby raises to 325.
Yeah, he'll do that quite often.
It's not quite a free bet.
Well, everybody's joking around. And he got rolled out.
Yeah, and then
Corey raises to 1,000.
There you go.
oh, Corey putting a good read on what's going on there. He's putting Bobby on a steal when he raises there.
And he lets it go right by.
Bobby folds.
Very nice play.
38 seconds left in this blind. So blinds are 75, 150. Just have one more.
I've actually seen Bobby put in a 4-bet there when he thought somebody was trying to do that. With him put it, I've seen him put it in with complete air, just absolutely nothing. Bobby with ace jack.
A lot of the younger players are going to that.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
absolutely.
Like the 4-bet, 5-bet.
They call it leveling.
Max raises to
Trying
450.
to out-level the other player, leveling him. Trying to think on a higher level. He's thinking, I'm thinking.
4 1/4, 450. I'm sorry.
I can't think that much.
300 views, sir. Blinds are up, guys.
All players fold.
Max coming out there stealing it with Queen Jack offsuit.
1, 2. Oh, is that not what we're having?
I mean, every time someone makes a move, you say something about it. Wait a minute, except when Corey's there.
Mark Dak first.
Say absolutely nothing.
Maybe you should just quit trying to pay attention selectively.
One with kings.
No.
Couple of ace rags out there.
Sorry, I heard that. Too much.
I said too much. I told him we should have made it 650.
Fear.
I think you're on my. Dame wants my seed.
To get it, raise it up here and take it
No,
down.
I don't want you to share. That was miscommunicated. Or misheard.
Ed raises to 600.
Funny thing is said.
600, sir. 4 5 to you.
Oh, you know that one girl I talked to? She wants my seed.
Oh, man.
Paul's not calling her, is he?
The things we talk about on this show.
No, he ain't gonna call that. I don't even know why he's hesitating.
All players fold.
You know, it's unlucky when you get hands like that. You got to get them big hands, but you got to get them up against somebody that can give you some action too.
Probably like a minute. What I just folded to you on the last one? I don't believe it.
Marco to act first.
Ed with fives. Corey with a king queen might put on raise here. Let's fold it around to him.
475.
Corey raises to 475.
Ed insta-mucks the fives. Mark will never call
Well,
it.
you're gonna roll in, sir.
Yes. I'm clearly hurt, Joe.
I had one here.
I should have said form. Flop 5, king 3, king.
Yeah, back to the Kings. I want action. One person.
Right, you want to build a pot when you got a hand.
So you do want that call. You just don't want. You
Yeah,
just don't
that's
want to run
yeah,
against
that's what I'm
3-4.
saying. You get unlucky when you get those hands, and then you get no action whatsoever.
You should have just nursed the stack of the point, the 2 point.
Oh, I don't know about that. I haven't checked.
I mean, there's times you're happy to take the blinds down, but this early they're not big enough to make it.
That'll be it.
I only tweeted the points 14 times this week, but I haven't looked at it.
Actually, I did it on my Twitter and I did it on my Facebook.
Did not delete
Yeah,
Facebook.
I deactivated both of them.
When?
4 days ago.
When was the last time you turned off Facebook?
Pulled to it to Robert.
Was that last month? Was that last month?
It was, but I turned it back on.
Action on Mark. Mark shows and folds.
No, that was me.
Yeah, and then I happened to use it.
Point missed
You
it.
did. That's what I did.
I talked to both of you.
That's what I was just thinking.
I had shit, but I was gonna raise just to see.
I will if I had to.
I had 6-8.
I'm a little mad because
Oh, why would I let you grab me with it?
I was no, I wouldn't go. I
wasn't
would
expecting you to
Bobby to act first.
Where's your little patch?
I know.
I like it when at least one pot every 4 points.
Beat million with the king queen suited under the gun. Let's see. Yeah, you get rid of that.
Calls 2.
Suited
King
Dan calls
queen
200.
suited is a hand that a lot of weaker players will play out of position. And you'll see like Corey and Bobby there fold them without even hesitating. It's just a hand that's going to get you in trouble.
Moskowitz raised to 600 and suited Dan called.
You can't be distracted. Focus.
Dan a defender, and now
Dan
he's
checks.
second pair. He's going to lose a little bigger pot here because he'll never fold second pair.
Moskowitz bets 1,000. Suited Dan calls.
Oh. Suited Dan gets
Both players check. 2 of spades on the river.
lucky.
I was on
25.
2,000 bet by suited Dan.
5.
You told me that I was talking about chess.
I don't think he'll get called here. I don't think he'll get called here.
12.5.
He looks like he's got it ready to cut out some.
Yeah, he's
Raisin
getting
chips.
them. No, he's just counting them. Usually, 99% of the time when Paul waits this long, he never makes. He'll fold. When he thinks it's long, he lets it go almost every time.
He was definitely agonizing over the decision, though.
He'll think and think and think, then you'll see him pick up the golf ball and throw the cards in. Look at him and throw the cards in. So you're never going to put him on queen 6 here, Paul. So quit trying to think it through logically.
They saying good things about me?
No.
Saying good things
I
about
was too
me
busy
right now?
listening to them talk shit about what you said.
Tell him it's unfair when you play a hand that bad with it.
That's where we need to cut away from the 1920 style.
And the golf ball is off.
Looked at the cards, and now they're going in the muck.
The folks at home are stunned. Sneaky set.
4 or 5.
Set of 6.
6. And a
6
queen.
queen. I thought it was 6-8.
Robert does show the queen 6.
I thought it was 6-8, but I was like, what you doing? What's 6-8?
I thought it was straight.
He should be.
Sometimes poker is the most unfair game in the world.
I didn't like the queen.
Bob. Big buddy.
Good big blind special over there. Oh, wait.
Ed with an ace king, Rob with a king queen. Now let's see. I bet we'll see Rob in here. He likes to call raises with hands like that.
Next, let's see. At all in.
No, I don't know if they're calling all in.
27-25.
Yeah. I think Ed's just overbet it.
I fold ace jack. Oh,
I think you would have folded ace jack there too.
was it?
But moves Ed Wiggler back first.
I don't think Ed was short stacked enough for me to raise.
Well, watch the tape. Watch the tape. You just said it was queen six of spades.
Spades, you're a
He's a liar. I know you want to be.
He's the worst. He can't even
I don't know, all the blacks look alike, you know how I think.
Oh, what? Jesus Christ.
You make that big a raise with ace king. The only thing that's going to call you just absolutely crushes you.
Pretty sure one was red, one was black.
Yeah. That's.
I think the only thing you're getting called with aces, kings, maybe queens,
The
jacks.
back-
Suited Dan calls 200.
Does that count?
8 minutes, 30 seconds left in the blinds.
Right. They're connected.
Yes. That's a good one.
Shut up.
Corey checks his option.
They better be quiet before I can see.
And Suited Dan's going in ahead.
Max is
And he
22.
calls second.
Yeah, he's in between.
Corey checks. Suited Dan bets 500. Corey folds.
Because it goes all.
Borrow Ed's sunglasses. He's not wearing them.
You should ropes.
Like his spidey senses gets a tingle. Next thing you
It's
know.
from Howard Stern, I swear.
What?
Richard Christie on Howard Stern always talking about shooting ropes.
Suited Dan to act first.
Then eating roadkill.
Max with an ace queen. We might see Ron fold to ace 8.
Call.
Max calls 200.
I just don't understand that. Now you're pricing everybody in.
Shut the fuck up.
You say one thing, I'm gonna like remove that limb.
They're women.
Women do say that James can beat you for this.
I don't know what's wrong with them.
I gotta see it now. Why are you putting them on?
I just noticed that.
What's wrong with them? Why don't you mind your own
Nothing.
business?
They're lovely
What are you
sunglasses.
checking me out for?
I didn't. I just happened to look at them like,
Heads up.
What is wrong with them?
Watch the tape. Watch the tape.
How much is queen? Puts a fish on
Max bets 400.
oh, that's funny. That is funny.
I fold.
You might have bet that on the flop.
I don't
What is a something about Mary's situation? You know, with that.
I think if he'd have put out a decent sized bet on the flop, he might have taken it down.
Look at off
I want to know red.
Yeah, red. Yeah, you are. Your cheeks are red.
Your face is red.
He's got sunglasses on his shirt.
Yeah, you're bored.
I don't want to see this. Ed's look gay too. I mean,
What his last? What is his last?
Paul, you're on your guy.
Paul to act
They
first.
said Gucci Mane.
picking on Paul about his glasses.
Oh, everybody picks on Paul. If it's not his glasses, they put something else.
What are they, Louis?
Can I see him? Rich not picking on Paul.
I think we would have used Sparrow's open glasses.
Paul's been resident whipping boy for 4 seasons on Chase the Bracelet. He's played every season.
Max calls 200.
Keeps coming back.
Raised to 525 by Bobby B. Million.
Ed's got 7-9 suited. Let's see. He'd hate it if a flush was. Wow. Dan gave up his big blind with an ace.
Max call.
A little surprise there. He usually call Bobby. Max still ahead, but with 2 overs out there, it's Hard to call a bet. And if he checks, Bobby will bet.
Bobby bets 625. Max calls 625.
Three overs out there.
If he can make a bet right here, he will probably take it down.
I know.
Bobby can 2 and 3 barrel more than anybody I know. Let's see if he does it. He doesn't like to leave his children in the street, that's for sure.
Bobby bets 1100.
Oh.
Three minutes, 51 seconds until break.
That's the problem with calling with fives there.
Oh, yeah.
On the turn.
Oh, yeah.
He said bones.
Max folds.
There's a story, but I know it's not going to happen.
Just keep it to yourself, you know?
But guess what? I'm going to say it.
First act is Robert.
The next pair I bought, I ran over with my hands.
You cannot please know the mystery of the glasses. He's over there dying. I don't know what's going on. He put glasses in his bra.
And that's what you picked up. You didn't notice it, right? Because it's only on the one side.
What is it? It says something girl. I know that's.
What's it say?
Change your mind. Pancake.
Corey with jacks. Red with ace rag. Not too much else going on.
The bro. The
man's here.
Marco bets 600.
It's very difficult for me to hold on to this secret.
I'm impressed with how long you held on to this.
I know, there's only a couple minutes left to the break.
Raised by Corey Mikesell to 1500.
Seriously wearing
Marco folds.
Oh, I wish.
Well, that wouldn't make me laugh.
They're in my pants.
You know?
Hey, too hard. Immediately attracted to your crotch.
First act will be
And
Mark.
you know what? That's not a cell phone in your pocket.
Oh, if you guys keep grabbing out there, he's gonna put those glasses back on and really show you where it's at. I don't even know. I don't know the joke.
Max with jacks. Suited down
I
with
know.
ace
I mean,
nine suited.
I'm working out too well for you.
I'm just guessing that that's maybe.
Suited Dan, he likes to play pots.
I'm not-
Raised to 500 by Max.
Oh,
See that?
see it?
You're good. Keep going.
I think so.
Pretty sure we see suited Dan call here.
That's
I saw it right there.
That's it. That's
He's
it.
exposed a card.
Six of hearts is exposed.
Sorry about that.
That's the kind of hand suited Dan's. Well, that's why how he got his name.
No.
Excuse me?
You don't become known as suited Dan for folding ace nine suited very often.
Suited Dan does call 500. Two players. Max stack first. Suited is on the button.
Uh-oh.
This could be a little
Oh,
trouble.
this could be a
Both
huge
players
trouble.
check.
Both check.
9 of clubs on the turn.
Well, it's a straight out there. Of course, it was already.
A 9 here would be brutal.
10 of hearts on the river.
And suited Dan gets lucky again.
Max checks. Suited Dan bets 1500. Max folds, showing jacks.
Please show your kicker. There is his kicker.
Toss chips up, guys.
Ace 9, the Dempsey. I know.
Toss chips. Some PJ.
All right, count up your chips. We'll be back in 10 minutes. We're taking a break.
Good job.